So we're here with a different game than was actually on the title screen, uh, because in small text you can actually see that this is Yellow Legacy. Now, I really thought long and hard whether I wanted to review this type of game for just like a game set review scenario. Apparently, I haven't healed. Uh, I just finished the mastered the game exactly a day ago, and it was a very short jaunt. So I wanted to talk about this game because when it comes to hacks in general, I've done quite a few. I've done quite a few on RA, and I've played quite a few over the decades of Pokemon. And I wanted to talk about this one because it's interesting as a concept, and as we'll talk about it, I ultimately think it fails. So we're just going to go through, and probably this video is going to be the background of just fighting all the gym leaders, which, as you'll see, isn't really that hard with the team right now. I ended up using basically Zapdos and Venusaur for the entire thing, and I got a Mew at the end. It was just required for the one achievement, but we'll end up doing the rematches just to have background. So let's talk about the game proper. So if you don't know what Yellow Legacy is basically a faithful update to Pokemon Yellow. It has similar stuff where Razor Leaf is insta crit because of the speed, but it also fixes some of the bugs that are pretty prominent. I don't know if all of them were fixed, but not very effective. Doesn't seem to appear when it's, like Gyarados against a grass move. It doesn't seem to completely get rid of everything, but it does a good job of making it work. Quality of life, there's of course the experience bar, which you can see that's not in Generation 1 normally. You could sort your bag by yourself, which is cool. Also, just a few other interesting quality of life that I think is cool. One of the kind of normal things about these hacks nowadays is that you can in fact catch every single Pokemon, 151 of them. Now, the challenge to get there is kind of annoying, but I'll talk about it later. There's a few other things that end up popping up that I do think is interesting. The rematches themselves are really cool. There's a few extra trainers like the police officer in Vermilion that gives you Squirtle. The Pokemon or the Nurse Joy in what's it called, in Fuchsia City. There's a fight, and there's a few added bosses in quotes to the different dungeons of Seafoam and Power Plant to make sure you can't just run straight ahead into getting a legendary kind of before your time. They're about level 55, so it's not gonna be impossible at level 50, but it'll be a little harder. And there's been a bunch of moveset changes that I think most of them are fine. I do think it makes some Pokemon a little too strong. I'm specifically talking about Venusaur here. Venusaur gets access to Sludge pretty early. I think only a few levels after it gets what's it called, Razor Leaf, and it means you have a double stab of Grass, which always crits. It's the strongest Grass move in this game because Solar Beam's been changed along with a few of the other ones. Egg Bomb is now a Grass move, but it's still weaker than Razor Leaf in general. And also at the same time, Sludge is now 90 power, which is insane. Even if I'm pretty sure it's 90 power. I looked it up, but I could be misremembering it. But even at 80 power or 75 is still incredibly strong to have on a Venusaur. Because Venusaur's big problem was this moveset. It was always going to be Razor Leaf, Leech Seed on Sludge, over Sludge anyway, Body Slam, Sleep Powder. That's always going to be the case, unless you do some Swords Dance, like Body Slam shenanigans. You're stuck with this move. There's not a much you can really do. And so when it comes down to the general moveset change, it's really strong. Having two stabs like this that you're able to hit, and of course Razor Leaf, but it's also stuff like this, because if you get hit by Psychic and my special drops, I can just go immediately to Sludge and hit incredibly hard. it also allows me to go off of the weaker defenses. So if I want a special attack that hits for a physical wall like Golem, I can do that. If I want to go for something that's like a Chansey, I can actually hit realistically with a stab option in the form of Sludge, which is like that for plenty of the other Pokemon. Which leads into kind of my biggest issue with this hack. It doesn't really do enough to make this unique, and at the same time, it makes the game incredibly easy. There's almost no challenge to this. If you want, you can even raise like a team of 6 because a lot of the level curve has been increased, and you can have a pretty good like team of 6 that can cover every weakness if you really want. Gengar's really powerful. You have Alakazam, which is in my party. You have access to the legendary birds at a certain point. You can pick up the evolutions, which I'll talk about that in a minute. But overall, it is very, very in your favor to do whatever you kind of want. A lot of Pokemon have become incredibly powerful, and some that were already powerful, such as Starmie, that hasn't been changed slightly, is even just still good because it's just the correct stats. I think Venusaur happens to be one of the best, but there's plenty of other occurrences that it becomes incredibly in your favor. There's almost zero challenge in this hack, which is really sad. And that's also not to mention where the changes of quality of life aren't really necessary. There's a few things that I think are like relevant, but it's more along the lines of every hack has already done this. I'm not going to completely shit on it, but I do like the sprite changes and all that, but it's more along the lines of I don't see enough content here. There's not enough interest here. Pokemon hasn't been changed enough, and it feels like I'm playing through Yellow, except even easier, which is, amazing to think about. Also, I don't think I have Cut or Surf, so we're gonna teach Surf to Mew here. But one of the cooler things, which I'll show in a second, is that you can sort your bag, which I do think is one of my favorite. Also, the bag is 60 slots, which you think would make you immune to the problem, but you still end up running it. I wonder if this is just the moveset that they give you, but weird. Yeah, it's still not big enough to cover everything, but that's me. And also, you can click A and not go into the party and get on. It's smaller things. Surfing, sped up. There's some quality of life I do really enjoy, but ultimately, I just don't really... I'm not super sold on this, which I hope is not, like, leaning too negative, but it's just... It feels like there's nothing here, which also kind of leans into the set. So, I am playing on hard mode, which basically means you reach a level cap, which we're already far past. For instance, the level cap for Surge was 24, so Raichu could stand a chance. And it was still pathetically easy because you have more options. Yes, there's no Insta-Dugtrio win against Surge. You don't need it, honestly. You have access to Ivysaur at that point, who can take whatever. And while the ground types are also kind of nerfed because Raichu has Surf, you just have access to plenty of other Pokemon that can take a hit and then dish it back out. I will say that maybe a Nuzlocke would make a little bit more interest, like, for me. But even then, because of the starter encounters, I don't see it being that hard. The level cap is negligible at best. The increased power on some of these moves is not really going to punish you that hard unless you are like 20 levels lower. You still get stat XP, which is a big problem if you want difficulty. There's also just a host of other issues that means this difficulty is never going to be hard. It's just not going to be hard. And that's where I kind of struggle to say what's the point of this. I do like the rematches. I like some bonus content. It's interesting, but that's it. And it leans into the set where I talked about hard mode. You have to play... That is a terrible cry. But you have to lean into playing hard mode to get all the achievements. it's all about hard mode and just going through it, but there's almost no point to have any of them. It's very lackluster. It's very like there's no difficulty spike there. When you click on like normal to hard, you expect some difference. With here, like level cap woo, that's its set mode woo. Look what I'm doing. I am 20 levels higher, but this is what I did anyway with like the normal game. I didn't really change much here, uh, which I didn't even have a high level at that point. I was the same level as the gym leaders or lower depending on the level cap. Uh, some of the teams have been changed, which is really cool, but it ultimately leads to not. Oh, I do need cut as well. Damn, but it ultimately leads to just unfulfillment on the hacks part. I can't state that enough. And then the achievement set I do think is a decent overview of it. It covers almost everything besides like Janine is in the game, which you can see. We'll end up showing that off later. Oh, here's the sort. You just press start in here, and it sorts everything. Congratulations. You can now scroll even longer to get to cut. But the TMs have been slightly altered, which also makes it easy, again. Certain move typings have been changed. Cut is now a bug move, which means Scyther actually can do stuff. But when it comes to the achievement set, it's just basic. It's ultimately Pokemon Yellow again, which is super mid. And that's basically where I'm at with this entire hack as I'm playing it. Is while I'm going through right now as background, I think I'm just really, really bored. And it's not even like Yellow itself is boring. It's this hack is very, very boring. For the achievement set, and I don't really blame the achievement dev on this. What am I doing? Oh, Zapdos in the lead. I don't really blame the achievement dev on this because it's one of those things of just like, what can you do with this game? But without level caps, like or increased level caps on this, without like type restrictions, Pokemon restrictions, this is always going to be kind of just mid. If you are a big fan of really interesting hacks, don't play this. Just don't play this at all. I don't think it's worth your time. If you have never played a hack and you want to play Gen 1 specifically, but you don't want it to be Gen 1 exactly, then this is a fine road to go. And even on RA, if you want a very easy set, I guess this works for you. This will take you maybe 5 hours, maybe, to get the set. Unless you're dumb like me and sell the experience all on accent. But overall, you just do not have enough content in here and not enough interesting achievements in here to really matter. And that's kind of disappointing because this was... I didn't play this before the achievement set. I waited until it finished, and I learned about it like when it was first like being picked up and stuff. And I'm very disappointed. I think is the most mid thing I've ever played when it comes to Pokemon. So that's where I sit. I think the game sits at exactly a 5 out of 10. It's average across the board. Some of the quality of life is, of course, really, really cool. But again, it's just, there's no difficulty in the hard mode. And I wouldn't even want to play normal mode because I'm guessing that's pathetic as well. And then for the set, I think it's a 5 out of 10 as well. Yes, there's the hard mode achievements, and there's a few other things that go into it, but, you know, getting Bulbasaur is an achievement, and then beating Mistian on both normal and hard is an achievement, beating these little super boss, not super bosses, but the optional boss trainers is an achievement. And it goes on and on and on of just being mid after mid after mid achievement. And honestly, besides showing a Janine, I'm done. This is the very end of this. She's right here. I wonder if yeah, I can't really battle again. But yeah, that's it. Perfect 5 out of 10 experience. The most mid thing I've ever done is this hack and the achievements that are on RA. Overall, I'm sure a lot of people have disagree with me on this hack. They think it's really good, which yeah, I guess if you really like it, it could be. But yeah, that's it for now. And hopefully we end up talking about a different and better experience next time.